sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for the conversation meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. I got nothing, brother.
You got nothing?
I got nothing. Are we on?
We are on.
Ooh, take it, Joey, because I got nothing in my headset.
Well, we're on with it. You know the English language. Go
I
for
do
it.
know the English language, but I can't hear myself, which is rather unique. Hi, everybody. You're listening to WMNF 88.5, WMNF.org. My name is Mario Nunez, and as always, I'm seated alongside my broadcast partner, Joe King Carter. Joey, how you be today?
Well, I'm good. Life is good. I have profound gratitude for being alive in this dimension. But I would like to mention that for those individuals involved in Ybor City, we had one of our history warriors passed last week. His name is Kurt Brown. For all of you who knew Kurt, he was dedicated to the cause in Ybor City. He conducted history tours for the Ybor City State Museum. He conducted history tours for the downtown Tampa History Museum, and he also worked at the Visitor Information Center. And his death was unexpected, and it always makes that jarring, shocking part occur. And so I just want to say to everybody out there who knew Kurt, give him a little silent moment and remember him, please. Now, Mario is trying to find headphones that work.
It's not my headphones, baby. It's not my headphones at all. But keep talking, Joey, because we're going to try to get there.
Okay. Are you in?
I hate when they ask that question. It's the microphone that's not giving me any love.
Yes.
Now, okay.
Okay.
So let's take it from here. Now I'm back. I'm back, everybody. I'm back.
There you go.
Wow. There's nothing more disconcerting than not being able to hear yourself on the radio.
Yes.
When you're trying.
Yeah. For those of you out there who don't
do
know
radio
how that
every
works, you have a headphone set that you wear, and if you're not connected digitally, you're not hearing anything because your head is muffled.
Yep.
And so when you speak, your volume has to be turned up, or it sounds like you're not talking. It's
and
a
my
very weird
volume's
experience.
turned up, and we're just going to go with it right here.
Yes.
So let me just say this for that, about that. Joey, so ask me about my week, Joey. Ask me about my week.
How was your week, sir?
All right, thanks for asking, Joe. So, I've been dealing with this thing with I don't know, male pattern baldness. Is it okay to say that on the radio out loud?
How dare you?
And it's been plaguing me for a hot minute. So it's not like it's just something that happened that I can go to the doctor and go, "Hey, doc, this is happening," and he gives me a pill and it stops happening. It's not like that.
Yes.
It's been coming on for a minute. So I went yesterday for a consult to a barber that has been in the business for over 60 years. He has a very clandestine operation out of his home. Somewhere undisclosed area of town.
This is beginning to sound like espionage.
Let's call it Wellswood, but I don't know if it's Wellswood for sure. But
yeah,
and let's call him Ed, but I don't know if that's his name either. But
let's call him Ed.
This is Black Ops all the way.
Yes.
So I go in and he's working with me, man, and he's got he's trimming out my beard, he's working on my hair, and he's giving me really good information that only a guy who's been wielding the shears for 60 years can offer. Whilst we're there, just about at the end of the session, his next customers come in, two gentlemen, one of which his name is Bill, introduces himself to me, and he goes to sit down in one of the chairs that's there, and I told him, I say, Bill, just move that stuff off the chest, my stuff, sit next to my wife over there, and I'll be done in a minute. So he said, no, I'm okay, and he sat behind me in Ed's stool, his barber stool. And so we're talking, and I'm continuing to talk to Ed for a minute, and Bill says, and I quote, "That sounds like the Mario on WMNF."
Wow.
And I snapped around 180 degrees and I said, well, it is the Mario on WMNF.
Public recognition.
And then he says to me, and your partner, the guy that you're on the radio with. And I said, yeah. And I said, let me give you a hint. And I gave him the opening. I said, hi, this is Mario Nunez, and I'm always seated alongside my broadcast partner, Joe. And that's all I got out. And he said, King Carter. And I said, oh, my gosh. I said, you recognize my voice? He says, oh, yeah, I recognize your voice. And then he proceeded to go down the rabbit hole and ask me about Mark Biro and Danny Castrillian, who used to call Mark Barrow's show all the time.
Yes, yeah.
And so on and on and on we went. And then we started talking about old Tampa. Mm-hmm. And I was flattered. I was impressed. It made me feel so good that, Joey, they're listening. And they hear us.
Yeah.
And he's nice. A WMNF guy. And the last thing he told me before I left, as we extended our hand to each other and wished each other well, he said, hey, and don't forget to ring that bell tomorrow. The cat's listening, man.
Oh, wow.
So, Bill, for you, my brother.
There you go.
There you go, baby. Thank you so much.
Oh, and nice, yeah.
It was just one of those moments.
And it's not ego. For anybody listening, it's not ego. No. It's just knowing that the community is connected.
Involved.
Yeah.
And they're engaged.
Nice. It's a nice feeling.
So thank you.
Because we don't know if... We really don't know ultimately who's really out there listening. We get some ideas from various numbers, but we don't really know. So that's sweet.
It was a great moment.
I was
thinking about you, brother, because, you were part of that. It's our voices.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
I digress.
Thank you, Bill.
We'll get to our guest in a minute. He's standing in the studio smiling. He's listening to us.
We have a guest today, folks. It won't be just
He'll be right
this.
with us.
But... I have a test for you this morning. I would like to give you a test.
This is a test. For the next 60 seconds, you'll be the emergency broadcast system. This is only a test.
Yes. So I have the test.
Okay.
Right here in my hand.
Karnak.
And I'm going to ask you these questions. Succinct answers, please, and then you will receive a
monosyllabic answers? Yes, no, perhaps?
If you'd like.
Okay.
Let's keep it, because we want to get to the end of the test quickly.
We want to get to our guest, too.
When I was a boy, I'm going to date myself.
Yes.
The dominant TV show on TV were Westerns. There was actually a period of time where there were more Westerns than detective shows, more Westerns than sitcoms.
Okay.
All right? Now, you watched Westerns growing up, correct?
100%.
Absolutely. If a guy was going to do a bad thing in the Westerns, if he was going to rob a stagecoach, if he was going to rob a bank, if he was going to go out on some kind of killing spree, or he's going to go shoot someone.
Some nefarious activity.
Yeah. He would have a handkerchief around his neck, and he would pull it up over his face and wear a mask. Is that correct?
For bonus points, what's that called? Is that what you were going to ask me?
No.
Okay.
But what is it called?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
The kerchief?
It's called the bad man's mask.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So, but you will confirm that that's true.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Number 2, I know that over the years,
yes,
you have been completely a legal citizen and you've never broken the law, but I'm sure that at various times you've interacted with either the TPD, Tampa Police Department, or the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, have you not?
Never a great moment, but yes, of course.
Of course. And do they ever wear masks?
Negative.
Okay, very good. Number 3, would you ever wear a mask in public other than to protect someone medically because of a medical mask, or it's Halloween or a costume party? Would there be another reason for you to wear a mask in public?
No.
If you did wear a mask in public, why would you be wearing it?
To protect myself during times of, like we experienced during the COVID outbreak, and just keep myself safe, or to keep you safe.
But now beyond that, is there any other reason you'd wear a mask?
No.
To hide your identity?
I wouldn't wear them. Listen, there was a reason that when I lived in Chicago, for the year I lived in Chicago, and boy, was it cold, that when I went into the 7-Eleven, for whatever reason, I took off my ski mask.
Ah, very good.
I took it off.
Smart guy. I'm
just saying.
So you might wear a mask if it was severely cold, I guess.
Yeah, you would have to. Frostbite.
It doesn't happen here in Tampa.
No. Chicago.
All right. And the fourth question is, remember throughout the last few years, the Proud Boys got a lot of media attention, didn't they?
Yes.
They were all over the place.
Yes.
Almost a week didn't go by without hearing about the Proud Boys.
Yes.
Also, the January 6th terrorists who were jailed and then pardoned, almost a week didn't go by without hearing about them for many, many months.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to them?
They got out.
No.
They got reemployed. They got repurposed.
They got repurposed
yes. as the militia that is now sporting vests that say ICE police?
Yes.
Do we need somebody to police the ICE? What's wrong with the ICE? Is it contaminated?
So I just want to point out, I have concluded this test. You made an A+.
Thank you, sir.
And I want to point out that those who are listening out there can conclude what they want. Mm-hmm. But I know that when I was growing up, the militia that was creating problems in our country in the South and hurting people was the KKK, and they wore a mask. And I think anybody who wears a mask is a coward in public.
Here, Joey.
Thank you.
We won't go down that rabbit hole, but I will go so far as to say this about that.
Yes.
And the reason we don't see said ICE force bad guys repurposed and wearing masks on the streets of Florida. And Lord knows, we got a few people that are here probably illegal. I'm just saying. We got a few people here. You go down to South Florida, you can shake a tree, and a lot of people will fall out of that tree that probably don't have papers.
Yes.
They're not here because you know who lives here.
Yes.
And he's only targeting the states that don't agree with his personal agenda.
It's called favoritism and or hypocrisy.
All right, so we're going to put this to bed now. Put the lid on it and burp it because you have to, Tupperware.
That's right.
Burp that lid to keep it fresh. To keep it fresh. Yeah. We're gonna say that if you are out there and you happen to encounter these folks, please be careful.
Yes.
Because it's a very volatile and unstable situation, and kudos to those that are standing in front of them and yelling at them and yelling shame and berating them. But you don't know when you're going to hit that tripwire and somebody's just going to pull out their weapon and threaten you with it and ultimately squeeze the trigger. I'm just saying, be careful.
Always protest peacefully.
Joey, I'm so excited today to introduce our new friend.
Absolutely.
Who has come to us by way of... Darren, how did we come across each other? Darren, you called me, correct? You said, Mario, you're somebody that I want to get to meet and I want to get to know. And boy, when I did a little bit of research on you, cursory research, because I didn't want to do too much. I wanted everybody to be introduced to you today.
He wasn't stalking you.
Not at all. Darren McCauley, everybody. This is when we the standing ovation.
Absolutely.
Darren McCauley's joining us in studio today. Darren, welcome to the conversation.
Welcome, Darren.
Thank you for having me both. It's my pleasure to be here.
Man, have you taken out your woolly socks and your knit cap, because in the next couple of days it's going to get cold. As we were talking about the cold a minute ago.
I'm more of a hoodie person.
Attaboy.
Yeah. So if you have a hat, I tend to leave it somewhere with a hood. My hat is always
with you.
Yeah.
Always with you.
And with most hoodies, you also have that little pouch in the front, so no need to lose my gloves.
And you have no hair you have no hair on your head. I'm going to let our listeners know you have that clean look, and I'm sure your head gets cold, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, I believe the saying is, God created all heads. He put hair on most of them, but the most beautiful He let shine through.
I love it. That's got to be a bell ring there.
Earlier, when Mario was saying, he said, "I remember the line. I am plagued with male pattern baldness."
Yes.
Well, I've been plagued by it since I was 16.
Yeah.
And you learn to deal with it. What can I say? You turn lemons into lemonade. But it looks good on you, brother.
Become a Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
Darren, let's introduce you to our audience. Tell everybody. Well, Joey, you usually do this part of the conversation.
Well, let's start with this. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in Plainfield, New Jersey, kind of central New Jersey. My parents moved from New York. I was born in the Bronx. My mom actually was a paralegal. She's a first-generation college graduate. And then after she became a paralegal, she said she wanted to go even further, so she became a lawyer. And when she graduated from law school, immediately it was like, okay, wow, we can move out of this kind of concrete jungle and we can move to the suburbs. And that was their dream. My mom and my stepdad wanted me to have a yard. I'll never forget that. She told me, "You're going to have a yard." And I was looking at it thinking, "You're going to make me mow this."
Wasn't lost on you.
Yes, but seeing that direct correlation between hard work and education with my mom, we moved to New Jersey, central New Jersey, Plainfield, New Jersey, and indeed she was able to provide both a yard and a dog. So not a white picket fence. I think that was against some kind of city ordinance. But we did get the yard and the dog.
Well, first of all, kudos to your mom for recognizing that my ex-wife is an attorney and she started as a paralegal. And, you realize, hey, he's billing those people. But I'm doing the work, but I'm not getting the money. So kudos to her, because that's a big deal to go to law school, certainly.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a big deal to go to law school. It's a big deal to recognize that you can bet on yourself, which is what people don't think of when they think of graduate school. But my mom is also just an incredibly driven and hardworking woman.
It sounds like.
She went from being a lawyer. She was a defense attorney for 15, 20 years, and then eventually became a judge. She was a criminal court judge in Essex County, New Jersey, and she retired as a judge.
Wow.
So first-generation college graduate, paralegal, lawyer, judge.
Wow.
Suffice it to say that Darren had to walk the straight and narrow.
Yeah,
Suffice it to say that you better keep it on the right side, sir.
Now, did you have siblings?
I do. I have a brother and sister. They're twins. They were born 14, 13 years after me. Twins actually run in my family. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's kind of fun.
So you really are like an only child.
Interestingly, yes. So you're kind of an only child until I was like in high school, and then all of a sudden my parents came back with 2 babies, right? And twins, they take up all the oxygen in the room. So I have twins now, and I'm cognizant of that. I recognize what that's like for the older sibling, because I have a 10-year-old and I have 6-year-old twins. But at 14, just going into high school, you're kind of establishing your own independence from your parents, and then all of a sudden it's kind of, this is worse than you're going to make me mow the lawn. Now you're going to make me change diapers.
So that move to the suburbs and having a lawn and having that life was expressly your mother's or your parents are saying this is for you. It really was for you in a sense.
For me, and then later for my brother and sister, I think they recognized that it was important for us to get out of the city. Now, there are a lot of great things about living in the city, but at the time, particularly in New York, crime was a real issue. Of course, wages and being able to afford where you live versus how much you're getting paid was easier in New Jersey. And she felt like we would have a better, more suburban life. So, as somebody who still loves the city, loves to go to the city, I recognize that when you're thinking about how you're going to raise your small children is not really the same thing that you're thinking about when you're discerning when you're going to go to college or how you want to live as a young adult. So I think my mom said, hey, I'm in the next stage of my life, and that includes moving to Jersey.
And so this neighborhood in Jersey, was it a mixed neighborhood racially, or was it a...
For sure.
Yeah?
For sure. So Plainfield, New Jersey at the time was almost 50-50, like maybe 40-40 black and white. There was a Hispanic population there as well. And then over time, I think it became even more and more Hispanic. Now Plainfield and North Plainfield are maybe 40% Hispanic. But at the time, it was almost evenly split. And that was part of it, too. Like she wanted me to grow up in an area where I was exposed to other people, to their life experience. She wanted me to be able to play and go to school with people who had various life experiences as well. So that was a big part of it.
Your mom was a big thinker. She had plans, and she knew how to execute those plans.
Absolutely. So the high school, what was the high school?
So this is a funny story. We went to Plainfield High School just to look at the high school. So my mom had the big plans, but my dad kind of had the purse strings. And he was like, private school is expensive. We're already paying property taxes. That includes school. He should go to public school. We went to Plainfield High School to inspect the school, kind of visit the school that first day. And we saw all these ambulances there. And I said, oh, okay, some kid fell down or something like that. Come to find out, kid had gotten shot.
Oh, my God.
So my mom just turned right back around, and she's like, he's not going to that school. So I went to Union Catholic. I went to Catholic school. I had gone to Holy Family prior to that. So I spent most of my years in Catholic school.
So you served time with the nuns.
Yeah, I don't think of it that way. I thought of it as broadening my horizon.
Joey.
But I mean, they're a force to a good force. But they are a force, aren't they, in the way they teach?
Keep you on the
Provide the guardrails.
Straight and narrow.
Provide the guardrails.
Yeah. Make sure, like we were talking about before the show, I know left and right limits, right? So
correct.
You know what's appropriate, and you're going to stay in that margin. I think I've had some really phenomenal teachers, both in middle school and high school, who were firm, but you could tell that firmness was from a place of love.
Yes.
Right? And there's something to be said about that. Like, I really want you to perform. I want you to excel. So I'm going to stay on you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that's ultimately what you hope is the message that's communicated, that this is, I'm being a little firm, if not stern, but it's for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's all wrapped in love, Joey.
Right.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It's not, there's no malice of intent there. I think that, both my brothers had the parochial school experience.
Yeah.
And I think it served them pretty well in their early years. They got a little wayward towards the back end because they went public after parochial, and it's like, they let the horse out of the stall too soon.
Yeah, right.
But still, to this day, they know when it's appropriate to ring the bells during the service. They know the service backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have the experience of being an altar boy during Christmas Mass. And, in some ways, I regret that.
Okay.
In some ways.
So, what kind of kid was Darren in school during that time?
I was a de facto nerd. I never really played any organized sports. I remember trying out for basketball. I was always tall.
Let's hear it for the
I was going to say,
Let's hear it for the nerds.
No, I'm not going to ring a bell for that. I just want to say, dog, Darren, you're walking down the hallway. The coach has got to come talk to you a minute and go, hey, son.
And then they'd put a ball in my hand, and they'd see what I could do with it, and they say, okay, thanks for playing. Yeah.
Maybe you could keep our stats for us.
Correct. I joined the
Darren, I can so relate to this.
Yeah, I was always the last guy to get picked. People say, oh, we're going to play, and everybody would pick, and they're like, oh, you're stuck with Darren.
Yeah.
Now, I could stand in front of you and be really tall, which is a nice distraction on the basketball court.
Yes.
But anything that required dribbling or shooting was never my
Did you have what I had, which was when one of the team captains would get down to picking people? In your case, they would say, you take Macaulay. I took Macaulay last time.
I'm sure that happened, although it did make an impression. I just remember their faces when they're down to like 2 or 3 people, and you can see like all the machination moving in their head. Like, what do I do so I don't get stuck with him again? But I did learn that I excelled at the science club. So we had a club in Central Jersey where basically you would take a test, and it was one of those things where what kid signs up to take extra tests, but we would compete with children in other schools.
Darren did.
And find out who scored the highest. And I remember, I was in the science club, I was taking the test, and then the first time I scored the highest, and I said, oh, the highest in the school? I said, no, I was like, the highest in the county? I said, no, you scored the highest in the state.
Wait a minute.
And I remember thinking at that time, like, you really just have to lean in. You can push, you can compete. And that kind of light bulb went on. Sometimes you put blinders on yourself and you kind of hold yourself back because you think, A, B, or C is not possible. But even at that age, I realized if you really, really work, you can do it.
And you're talking about 14, right?
This is maybe closer to 16.
16?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's still that time in your life when things are coming at you fast and furious and things are changing. You're learning how to drive. You're talking about maybe dating or going out to the movie. You know what I mean? There's so much distraction.
Correct.
But you found out, oh, maybe I can't play basketball, but maybe one day I'll be doing surgery on you and save your life. I'm just saying. I'm just going out of bounds.
Well, I was a first aider at 14. I recognized that I was thinking about maybe it would be nice to go into medicine. So my mom, as driven as she was and as much as she put into schooling, she told me, do not become a lawyer. So I said, hey, Mom, I might want to go into medicine. And she said, that's worth pursuing.
That's good, yeah.
So I joined the volunteer rescue squad as a first aider at 14. And they basically let us help out. You take a first aid course, and they let you help out with patients in the back of the rig. In New Jersey, at 16, you can actually become an EMT. So I took the test and became an EMT at 16, but I couldn't drive yet. So you mentioned driving is what made me think of this. So I could do shifts with the ambulance, but I needed to have a driver because I couldn't drive in the front, but I could take care of patients in the back. And once again, I can remember people's faces when I showed up at 16, little scruffy beard, tall, lanky kid. And I'm like, we're here with the EMS to take care of you. You called, and they said, yeah, we called EMS. Like, you're a kid. And I'm like, no.
Holy cow. He was Doogie Howser before we knew what a Doogie Howser was. That's pretty cool, Darren.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah.
That's very cool.
So go ahead.
No, it's just I was very happy to get my license because they didn't have to have a special scheduling demonstration in order to get me on a shift in the ambulance, right?
Right. Awesome. And what sort of surrounding all that? Now, I understand you're in Catholic school. What's happening with you in music and possibly dating and any of that stuff? Is anything happening, or are you just that guy focused?
No. I mean, I like everybody else. I had my circle of friends. Definitely, like I think most other folks in high school is involved in dating and trying to get to know other people around me.
Right.
And, establishing your ability to connect with people and learn from them and try to figure out who they are. Played the guitar, was not very good at the guitar.
Okay.
Didn't have the manual skills for that, didn't have the finger skills for it or the patience. I picked up the guitar and I said, hey, I'm not Jimi Hendrix. And I put the guitar down immediately.
Bruce Springsteen was from Jersey. Why can't I play the guitar?
Just didn't have the viewpoint that, like, wow, you're going to have to do this for years and you'll be really good at it. I wanted to be good at it quickly. Yeah. Looking back at it, that was obviously silly. You know, I want to try to get my children in music lessons and try to plant that seed in them, give them the opportunity to at least pick an instrument up. But I think that a lot of skills like that, like playing an instrument, playing a sport, they teach you resilience, and they teach you kind of like what my mother passed on to me from a very early age, is the benefit of hard work and sticking with it.
Tenacity.
Yeah.
You know what happens?
Great story.
I think what happens with very young people, teenagers, is almost in spite of their parents, unless their parents are really kind of browbeating them, is that this natural thing that you are comes out of you, right? So whether it's sports or science or the arts or whatever it is, it just sort of, if it's given a chance, it expresses itself, you know? And probably somebody looking at you now would say, this guy obviously played basketball. Come on. I'm sure Mario thought that.
Well, no, I whenever I see somebody, this is interesting. Whenever I see somebody, case in point.
He's taller than us.
Case in point, there's a kid in our Publix in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Who's, I think, 18. I think he just graduated from high school, thereabouts. Mm-hmm. He is, without exaggeration, he's 6'8".
Wow.
About 230.
Wow.
Got the head and the hands that go along with the 6'8", 230.
Right.
When you see him, he works the checkout. When you see him, you walk into the store, you see him head and shoulders above everybody else. Mm-hmm. So Alex is his name. The first day I met him, Alex, hey, brother, what did you play? The assumption was already confirmed.
Right, yeah.
What did you play, bro? Because it's got to be football. You know, so I didn't go so far as to say what position did you play.
Right.
But what'd you play?
Yeah.
Basketball, certainly. At that height.
Yeah.
Football, certainly at that size.
Right.
Baseball, maybe not so much because he's a little big for that.
Right.
But I was astonished. No, I didn't. I'm thinking, oh, no. Because I was the kind of kid at 5'6", boom, and 155 pounds in high school that I would have given my left eye probably to have had, that kind of size. Because
presence.
Really and truthfully.
Athletically.
You have to be a certain to get, you know what I mean? You can overachieve at 5'7", 5'8", but if you're going on one-on-one drills with a guy who's 6'2", or 6 foot or 6'1", whatever, it just is not going to work out. It's physics. Right. It's just physics.
Not everybody's going to be Muggsy Bogues, right? So you have to have some of that.
Or Spud Webb.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Darren. So your bona fides is cool, man. You knew Muggsy and you knew Spud Webb. It's all good, brother. Listen, we've got a caller that's been patiently waiting for about 10 minutes, and we didn't even solicit the phone number yet because we're still getting to know Darren. But I'm going to go ahead and honor the caller who's been waiting patiently. We'll take this call, and then we'll come right back to our conversation with Darren McCauley. John from Lutz, you're on the air.
Yes, hello. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, I wanted to thank Darren McCauley, sir, for your service to the country, and also appreciate your dedication to the Hippocratic Oath that both you and I took to do no harm. And so I'm wondering, I took to the position of Congressman for CD15. Will you condemn Israel for clearly committing genocide? And will you dedicate to withhold all arms from Israel until they recognize Palestinian equality and statehood?
John, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your call and for your question. I'm going to intercede just a little bit and say that
we don't have a great connection there.
We did hear the question, and we're going to get to it maybe a little bit later. But right now, we're discussing kind of Darren's personal narrative and fleshing out his personal story rather than doing anything political. But you did expose. We buried the lead intentionally, Johnny, and you kind of gave it up. You gave up the ghost real quick in the show because we're just about to get to the part that not only is Darren, Dr. Darren McCauley, but he's also a colonel in the United States Air Force. Is that correct?
Air National Guard.
Air National Guard. So it's like I tell Darren all the time, what do I call you? How do I address you? Because, Colonel Dr. Darren McCauley, that's a lot. Colonel Doctor's a lot. But he says, no, Marty, just call me Darren. But you know what? You've earned those titles, my brother. So, and we'll get to, Joey, quick, hurry, get to that part of it, John. Hurry, get to that part of the story. Because I do want to know, first of all, how the doctoring went.
Yeah.
And then how did the colonelin go?
Well, Darren is a man of many hoodies. So
many talents. That's right. There you go.
So,
there you go. I like that.
Okay, so you're in high school, science. Obviously, this is going to go somewhere after high school.
Doctor.
What happens next?
Well, I started thinking about how I could actually get into medical school. I applied to a couple different schools. I actually applied to Fordham University because I did want to try to play football. I was a nose tackle. That was much better fit for me than basketball.
Come on, okay.
But I also applied to Vassar College, and I got into Vassar. And I can remember this conversation with my mom where it's like, hey, you got into Vassar, so you're going to accept and you're going to go to Vassar, right? And I'm like, well, Mom, I really want to go to Fordham. And she just sat me down and she's like, these are your options with Fordham. Do people who graduate from Fordham University become doctors? Do they become lawyers? Of course. But how much easier will it be if you go to Vassar? So I wound up going to a small liberal arts college in Poughkeepsie, New York. Vassar College. Had a phenomenal time there. Vassar is a true learning experience, not just in biology, which was my major, but once again, in how to interact with people. I was only one of 6 black men on campus when I went to Vassar.
Wow.
So, an exposure to cultures from all around the world, all around the United States. And you recognize kind of like how much you have in common with people, how much everybody's really on the same path, even though we're maybe getting there in a circuitous path.
Excellent. And then when did the medical degree, how did that?
Applied right after I went to Vassar. So that was kind of the plan. I went in thinking, as somebody who is an EMT, thinking I want to go to medical school originally because that was my early exposure. I wanted to be an ER doctor. I took a year off.
Why ER?
Just because it was kind of all I knew, to be honest with you, being an EMT.
Yeah. You were always in the trauma center.
And I thought like, hey, this is an adrenaline rush. You can really get in there at that crucial time and make a difference in someone's life. I recognized in medical school that so much of the adrenaline rush was sitting for hours waiting for something to happen. And I would rather be more active in the interim. So I wound up not becoming an emergency medicine doctor. I also realized I like to do a lot more controlled procedures instead of having to do them very quickly in a haphazard fashion.
On the fly. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I applied to medical school after graduation from Vassar. Went to the University of Medicine and Dentistry School of Osteopathic Medicine back in New Jersey. That was my first choice. I give that advice to medical students whenever I meet them. Apply before applications are being accepted officially, so that when applications are accepted, yours is first at the top, right? Because it's always a rolling admission. So this was old school before they have the electronic system of application.
Papers.
In which case, I would assume that you're staying up till midnight to submit yours at midnight, 12:01, right? But I sent mine in the mail 3 days before they would accept applications. Got an interview right away, and then I actually got accepted into medical school before Christmas. I'll never forget the dean of admissions called me himself, and I picked up the phone. And he said, yes, this is Dean Wallace from UMDNJ. And I said, what can I do for you, sir? And he said, well, I think I have some good news for you. And I'm like, I really hope you do, sir. And he said, how would you like a spot in our school? And life just kind of changed from then on in.
And what was that moment like? How excited were you? Did you sleep that night?
I immediately got off the phone with him and called my mom.
Call your mom, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
I mean, like, immediately.
Yeah.
I hung up the phone, and I said, Mom, I got in. And she's like, where? And I said, New Jersey. And, I remember her shouting, and then she started calling everybody, like all my aunts and all her friends, and then I'm getting calls the whole rest of the day, like, you did it.
My son's going to be a doctor.
Well, it wasn't until I got to medical school that I realized that, getting in, I wouldn't say is the hardest part, but once you get in, they pick folks that are going to get through, So you have to put in the work. You have to be willing to lean into being uncomfortable, which is something that I also learned in the military, that sometimes you have to lean into being uncomfortable. But if you keep your eyes on the prize for 2 years, the first 2, and then 4 years total, you can do it.
Wow.
Joey, we rushed right over the bottom of the hour because I haven't taken my eyes off of Darren. His story is so compelling.
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and do a real quick station ID. We'll come right back with the rest of the story.
Hi, I'm Gianni Hunt, and you're listening to The Conversation with Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter on WMNF 88.5 FM in Tampa.
Oh, that was such a great show last week.
The wonderful Gianni.
And we encourage everybody that didn't get a chance to listen to that show live to go into the archives and listen to Gianni, because Gianni, much like the gentleman that you're meeting today, they are the next wave of soldiers that are going to be battling on the front lines for us. And I just have a feeling that great things are going to come to Gianni as well as Darren as we continue to learn your story. I have to know, Joey, so he's a doctor now. He's got a stethoscope around his neck. You know the thing. You know the thing, right? The lab coat, the thing with the name tag and the thing.
Right.
But at some point, he gets inspired to go further, much like his mom before him, to do more. And now you find yourself in the Air National Guard. Please tell us.
How did that come about?
Please tell us.
So it was actually about my 3rd year of medical school, really my 2nd because it took a year to get in. I used to work out every day at lunch, myself and my 3 friends who were also in my class. And we would work out at lunch. And while we were in there, the dean of our medical school would be working out as well. And he did the same thing. He worked out every day at lunch. And it was an odd thing because a lot of the professors did not use the gym, but he was always on it every day. And I remember him coming up to us one day and he said, "Hey, how would you guys like to serve your country?" And it was one of those things where, what are you going to say when the dean of your medical school, as a 2nd-year medical student, asks you something? You're like, "Yeah, sir, what are you talking about?" You know? And
serving them in the cafeteria? What are we serving?
Correct. And he says, I'm the medical commander of the Delaware Air National Guard, and we're always looking for more physicians. I hear great things about you. I see you in here, working out, and which is part of being in the military, keeping your body and your mind right. If you're interested, I'd like to show you the unit. So I thought about it. I remember talking to a really good friend of mine about it, and I said, my grandfather was in the Guard. Both my uncles were. My grandfather was in the military. He was in World War II, and then he started off in the Army, and then he was in the Army Guard. And both my uncles were in the military, one in the Air Force, one in the Army. It's a really great way to serve. But also, hey, we'll get the GI Bill. They'll pay us every month. We can get a house, eventually. And 2 of my friends immediately were like, nope. They were out.
Peace out.
I don't even know if they wanted to come back to the gym at lunch anytime anymore. Yeah, they were like, okay, I don't know about this. But me and my one friend, he's actually one of my best friends. We went to the base. We met everybody, and we said, yeah, this is for us. So we commissioned together on the same day. He's still in Pennsylvania.
Wow. Yeah. So help me understand why, at the point where you were in medical school, this would not feel like you were just taking on a lot more responsibility. Or did that excite you or satisfy you or make you, because I can see being over.
I think Darren's a multitasker. I think he's been a multitasker since he was 12.
I know, but it seems to me like a lot to take on if you're in med school, right?
I should be more ashamed of the answer, but I didn't have a real full respect for the gravity of the responsibility. I didn't. They said it's a weekend a month and 2 weeks a year.
I can do that.
Yeah, and I said, 1 weekend a month? I mean, 2 weeks a year? Sure.
There we go.
That's enough time.
That's an honest answer.
And then when I started doing it, it was like, well, wow, this is a lot more than 2 weeks a year, right? Mm-hmm. I think almost every National Guardsman in the country will tell you that, if you're only doing 2 weeks a year, you're probably throttling back a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And then also, you don't recognize how much time one weekend is until it gets taken from you, right? How much studying you can get done as a medical student, how much time you can spend with your family as a professional.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, we're used to in our society of having 2 days off and working 5 days straight. When you work an extra weekend, you're basically working 12 days straight or almost half the month every month. Wow. And to have been doing that for 26 years, it's like, wow, I worked a lot. But at the time, I didn't really have full respect for it. However, by the time I recognized how much work it was, I was already in. I was already indoctrinated. I fell in love with the military culture, with the folks that I served with. My first TDY was to Germany. It was my first time going to Europe. And I said, wow.
You're a young man about this time? You're in your 20s still?
Oh, yeah. I was 20. It was right after I graduated from medical school. So
26?
I was 25.
There you go.
Yeah. And, it was my first time in Europe. And it was like, whoa, this is one of the opportunities that this presents me, that this job will give me. How many other jobs will fly you to Europe so that you can take care of patients in another country? Our commander called us in on Thursday afternoon for an emergency meeting. Everybody's standing there in formation on Thursday, my first time in Europe. And he says, all right, nobody get hurt, nobody get arrested. I will see you all back Monday at 7 a.m. And the whole room just started cheering.
Liberty call.
I thought we were going to get in trouble. Some emergency meeting. We're all standing there at attention.
What a great way to get your attention.
We got a 3-day weekend out of it. So my friends and I went to Paris for the first time.
Wow.
It was phenomenal. And I just remember coming back on the plane back thinking, wow, this is cool. How many other jobs would give you the opportunity to do this? It wasn't until years later when I went to Iraq the first time that you recognize the service, that there's a big bite to that service as well. All the TDYs are not going to be fun places that you get to go. But you put into the bank, you take out of the bank. And I have to be honest in saying that over the last 26 years, I've gotten a whole lot more than I've given from the U.S. military.
Mm-hmm. You're here. Good. That's good. That's a bell ring right there.
And you achieved your rank and status?
Yeah, I started off... a lot of doctors will start as captains because when you graduate from medical school, you're a captain. But because I started as a medical student, I started as a first lieutenant. So I started direct commission as a first lieutenant all the way down at the bottom of officer ranks. And then over time, I moved all the way up, becoming a full colonel while I was in the Pennsylvania Air National Guard at their Special Operations Wing there. I was the SGP, the head of aerospace medicine. I was living in Florida and commuting back and forth from Florida to Pennsylvania because I had established such good relationships with my brothers and sisters in that unit that I kind of didn't want to change. But I got to a point in my career where this position became available as state air surgeon from Florida. And one of my mentors, who was the state air surgeon for Florida, really kind of opened the door for me and said, hey, this path is available. I'll help you to perform the job correctly. You'll have the ability to have a statewide impact to help people all throughout the state. We have hurricanes here constantly, so you'll really be involved in the medical planning, and it's a great way to help the community. So he held the door open, and I became the state air surgeon.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Darren has had an amazing go. He's got, as they say, he's got a lot of mo to give. He's got a lot of mo. So your mom obviously set you on this path in your early years. She taught you how to do it and do it with that commitment and conviction that it took to get to the end. Where did the empathetic heart come from? I mean, because obviously when you're giving care, life-saving care at times, when you're 16 years of age, at 16, I was not thinking about anything like that. Where did that... Do you think that came from? Where did that spirit of giving?
It came from her and from my stepdad and my father as well. Lawyers oftentimes get a bad rap, but I can remember my mom drilling into me even as a child when she was a defense attorney that, I take care of people who don't have access to resources. And if no one stands up for them, the system will gobble them up. So there's a lot of people who make bad choices. There's a lot of people who get caught up in something and they make a bad choice for 1 minute that can impact their entire life. But those are completely separate categories of folks who are just really kind of like bad and evil people. Mm-hmm. You do have people who are going to continue to make bad choices because they just get a thrill out of hurting people. Mm-hmm. But the vast majority of people who get caught up in the criminal justice system don't have the resources and support to resist temptation. And that's kind of a human thing. And she said, I stand up for people and I provide the voice for people who don't have anyone to stand up for them, who don't have a voice. And that was her way of community service, that empathy that she displayed for the community. I found that medicine is a different way to display empathy, right? So you're guiding people through what can be a very tumultuous period in their life. Doctor stands for teacher. right? That's the Latin root. People don't often recognize that. So I am teaching people how to take care of themselves, presenting them with options, and trying to give them an opportunity to decrease their pain as a pain management physician or improve their function as a sports medicine doctor. So the empathy came from her too. I think it all starts with family. Folks who don't have that at home can find it in other places, right? You can find it in your friend circle. You can find it in mentors. You can find it in a school community. You can find it in a church. We talked about that Catholic school upbringing.
Right.
But at the same time, if you have it at home, if you have parents that love you and want to guide you and take care of you and protect you, that is a tremendous advantage. And it's something that I joke, but it's not a joke, that, you know, I love the title of colonel. I love the title of doctor. Of course, son and husband. I know my wife is listening.
I was going to suggest you might just want to mention.
But father is the one that I'm the most proud of. Husband and father.
Here.
If you're really doing what you can to take care of your children, you are ensuring their future success.
Yes, absolutely.
And oh, by the way, turning children into good citizens, because when you unleash them onto the community, you know, at large, you want to put somebody out there that's going to be doing good work going forward. And these times that we're living in now, Darren, you know, that's critical.
Yes.
I mean, I think we've done ourselves a great disservice by not teaching civics any longer in high school. You know, we had a class that we used to have to go to, Joey, Problems in American Democracy, PAD. I'll never forget it.
Yes.
And it was kind of the extension or the progression of what civics used to be in the 60s and so forth. But it just, you know, if we stop talking about it, we forget how a bill actually becomes law. And that's kind of critical, don't you think?
Yeah.
City government, state government, you know, and all things political, they tend to be local, right? Because those are the decisions that are rendered that affect you in your personal life. National stuff usually gets the big headlines, don't we know that? But it's the local stuff. It's your city council, your county commission, and your school board that really govern your day-to-day existence.
Yeah.
How government works, and then also recognizing that it's supposed to work for you. I think sometimes people have given into the fact that government works for itself, it works for corporations, it works for other people. But no, government's supposed to work for you. The whole purpose of establishing a government, establishing a democracy, was so that people would be able to guide their government. And hopefully you would want to guide it for the collective good, but when you benefit from the collective good, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, back to your point about being a father and a husband, you know, I think whatever parent you are, any kind of parents, whether it's two moms or two dads or whatever the
family structure, sure.
Family structures are so important. And I hold the highest esteem that you can give another human being for being a good parent. I think being a good parent is such a critical part of our structure, because it is there that these lessons of compassion and empathy begin. I think compassion, what you were saying earlier about it being in churches and being in schools and being in your circle of friends, if it's not coming from your family, but compassion is all around us, but people aren't looking for it if somebody hasn't taught them to look for it. And what you're saying is your mother said, this is where I'm being compassionate. Maybe you'd like to be like me.
No, she was very clear. Don't be like me. Do not be a lawyer.
Oh, do not be a lawyer. Well, of course.
But she said you can be compassionate.
Darren, is mom still with us?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
that's so good.
Yes.
Yeah. You better make sure that she gets to hear this.
She's retired now, but she's still with us.
Make sure that she gets to hear this broadcast when it gets put into the archives.
So we touched on your family. Let's talk about your family.
So I've been married for 13, going on 14 years. I currently have a 10-year-old, and I do have a set of twins. I have 6-year-old twins. You know, this is a bit of trivia, but they're born on my birthday.
Come on.
So
what a story.
It's no longer really my birthday. It's our birthday.
Can we discuss the rights to your movie? Can we discuss that now, Darren? I mean, I think we need to lock that in, Joey.
Yeah,
I think Darren's story is so compelling. I mean, and it's things that happen to somebody like yourself. You know, yes, there are lucky coincidences in some cases, but maybe the universe is just conspiring to tell you you're on the right path, kid.
Identical twins or fraternal twins?
Fraternal. They are fraternal, so a boy and a girl.
And you said that
they run in the family.
Your siblings were fraternal twins.
They are.
Correct.
They are.
And that's why it runs in the family. I see.
No, before that it was in the family too.
That's part of it. I have a great aunt and uncle that were also twins as well.
Oh, really?
So it's just part of the line.
Yeah.
When it happened,
come on, doctor, explain it to us.
When it first happened, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Kind of can't be. I wouldn't say scared of it too much,
right?
But I was. You're scared. I remember my wife was, as always happens at drill. My wife was at the OB, and she said that she was not feeling too well, or rather, she was not feeling too well, and she went to the OB. And I said, okay, well, text me and let me know what's going on. I was at drill actually preparing for a lecture that I was going to be giving for part of our conference there, and she hadn't texted me, she hadn't called me, and so now I'm getting worried. Your wife is 5 months pregnant. She says she doesn't feel well. She goes to the doctor.
You don't hear from her?
We're always in not constant communication, but we don't have communication difficulties. I'm texting her, hey, what's going on? Hey, how you feeling? Hey, what did the doctor say? Come on, tell me something here, right? And I'm at lunch. Now, this was about 5 months, so we hadn't told anybody that she was pregnant yet, okay? So I'm at lunch, and she calls me, and I'm at lunch with two friends of mine. And I said, guys, I got to take this call, right? So I go outside to talk to her, and I could tell immediately from the tone in her voice that everything was okay. She's like, all right, so I want to tell you what's going on. And I'm like, okay, yeah, get to it. Okay, I've been texting you all day. What's going on? And she says, okay, well, there's two of them in there.
Is that right about the time that you fell off your chair, or you were standing at the time? Did your knees buckle?
I was outside, and this is, in the summer, and I'm in full uniform. We were eating lunch at drill, and so I sat down on the curb, and she said, yeah, he thought he saw a third shadow, but he wasn't really sure.
Mercy.
And at that point, with the third shadow, I laid down.
Yeah, okay. Mercy. Full on the sidewalk.
I'm laying down on the sidewalk in full uniform with the sun blazing down on me, with the phone up against my ear, talking to her. And I said, well, everything's going to be okay. Whatever God gives us, we're ready for it. And, she's thinking about, oh, this is going to be a really tough delivery. It's going to be a really tough pregnancy. And I'm thinking, oh, there's 3 times as many bottles. There's 3 times as many diapers. There's 3 colleges. There's, And my friends came outside from lunch, and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. Why would you say that? And they're like, well, you're laying down on the ground in the street. And I'm like, oh, man, everything's good. I had to lay down for a little bit. I'll be back inside in a second, And they're looking at me like I'm nuts. It was only 2. Ultrasounds aren't perfect.
Right.
And I had to go back in there, sweating. You wipe off all the sweat and talk to, my 2 colleagues at work as if nothing had happened, because we still weren't going to tell everybody yet until I got the go-ahead from my wife.
Right.
So they're looking at me like, okay, you don't ordinarily just lay down on the sidewalk, but we'll act like that didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. How do you not scream to the world, I'm having twins?
Yeah, especially when you've just picked yourself up off the sidewalk.
Yeah, right.
So Darren, as we come to the close of an amazing hour telling your story, well, we took a little bit too much time at the top, Joey. We may have to have Darren back to flesh out the rest of his story. But tell us, as we come to a close, anybody you want to give a shout out to? Is there anything that you want us to know about you? What's coming? What's around the next corner for you?
So definitely a shout out to my wife, Tammy, and to my twins, and my oldest daughter. So Max, Evangeline, and Valentina.
That's pretty. Those are nice names. And you put some thought into that, my brother. You put some thought into that.
They're really what keeps me going. I do want to continue to serve my country. It's been 26 years. I'm not quite ready to retire from the military yet, but thinking that one of the best ways to serve would be to step up and display some leadership, as we talked about, making sure the government works for the people. So I am running for Congress currently in CD 15, Temple Terrace, New Tampa, Wesley Chapel, all the way down to Lakeland, because I want to continue to give back.
Excellent. Very good news, I think.
That's spectacular news. Yeah. And we're just so, the term happy to make your acquaintance just doesn't seem to fit the bill right here. I mean, I'm honored, really more than just happy to meet your acquaintance. I hope this is the beginning of something special for the three of us.
For the Colonel Doctor.
Colonel Doctor. I hope we can meet up for lunch sometime and continue the conversation.
Indeed, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Darren. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Joey, what's coming next?
As always, special thanks to Jessica Green, the OG of OGs on Board Ops. She makes this go. And then coming up next, it's the Music Wednesday with Sam. I see Sam over there. She's ready to go.
Yeah, she's ready. She's ready. So what you want to do is you just want to settle in. You want to just go ahead and refresh that drink, but come back because at the top of the hour, after we have a little bit of news for you, we'll give you some more music. Darren McCauley, you're terrific. And we just thank you so much for being here with us today.
Great to meet you.
Great to learn so much about you. Yeah. Thank you, my brother. You're listening to The Conversation. This is Tampa.